Nothing really kicks off the holiday season like new tax brackets and new standard deductions. It's just a magical time of year, really. And actually, that joke would not have worked last year. Last year, we got the new brackets October 18th, and actually, most years it's mid October. This year, I don't know, it was November 9th that we got the 2024 brackets. In fact, it was November 9th at 12:41 p.m. Central Time. And that sounds like a very exact time, and I'll explain how I know that, because here's the pro tip for you. You can actually get from the IRS directly e-news blast, I don't know, newsletter blast from them. And it's worth signing up for if you're really into tax planning stuff, because they'll pepper you with a lot of stuff that sometimes isn't useful, but sometimes stuff that is very useful, like the new brackets when they come out, or when there's adjustments to various things. The way you do that, we'll put the link down in the little show notes below the video, but it's irs.gov/newsroom/e-news subscriptions. And there's a bunch of different ones you can do. I do a lot of them, like IRS Guidewire, I think, is the one with the new brackets, but Newswire is worth doing. Tax Tips, I can't remember which ones I do, but I have a lot of them. I get a lot of them. But it's good because you get stuff right when it's out. So like this morning I woke up and I was reading my news feed, and there was a lot of stuff about the new brackets, but I already knew it from the day before. So I just hit the snooze button and got another 10 minutes of sleep. Now the document that comes with that announcement from the IRS is this one. It's not too pretty. It's called the Revenue Procedure something or other. I guess Revenue Procedure 2023-34 is the name of the document. You can see like it's not a super pretty one. It's got a lot of stuff in here, a lot of stuff we may not care about. Like, look at this. The tax on arrow shafts is item number 44 here in the table of contents. Not supported by Holistiplan. But also in there are the tax tables, standard deductions. Let me highlight a few things. I'm not going to do a whole rundown of what's new, but you might be interested in where the 22% bracket ends. Sorry, where the 12% bracket ends, for example, if you're trying to maximize Roth conversions before that big jump to 22%. In 2024, it's up to $94,300 for married filing joint, up from $89,450. So we get almost $5,000 more space in the 12% bracket. Singles obviously going to be half that. It's up to $47,150, up from $44,725 in 2023. Also, maybe interesting to you is the capital gains 0% brackets. Where are those? Let's see if I can find those. So this is where, if your taxable income is below this amount, no cap gains, right? And the zero limit ends for married filing joint at $94,050, and that's up from $89,250. So again, almost $5,000 more space in the 0% capital gains bracket, and then half that for single. It's up to $47,025, up from $44,625. So what is that? A little under 2,500 jump for the 0% bracket for cap gains. And then standard deduction, I saw that in here somewhere. It's 29,200. You can see this document's pretty hefty. Standard deduction, there it is. Married filing joint is standard deduction's up to 29,200, and that's up from 27,700 last year. The single, 14,600, up from 13,850. And of course, that's relevant to us as tax planners because we start to think more and more about, especially with state and local tax capped at $10,000. It's really, everything is getting clawed out of our charitable deduction pretty much, right? There's other things, but that's the big one that we have a lot of control over as planners. And so you start to think more and more about things like donor advised funds as the standard deduction marches up. That's all I'll highlight now. I could pull back the curtain a little bit on what it's like for us to update Holistiplan when we get all these new numbers in. It's actually not that bad because we're so many years into it, obviously. Really, at this point, a lot of this stuff, you're just updating like a table that's referenced by another piece of code, right? So you just have to add another line to a table in a lot of cases. sometimes it's a little hard to remember how to interpret some of this stuff from the IRS. I skip by it, but let me show you. Look at this chart. This is related to the earned income credit. And the earned income credit's kind of funky because there's like a phase-in amount, and then there's like I could be wrong about this. If I recall correctly, there's a phase-in amount, then a plateau thing, then a phase-out amount, or maybe there's like loopy things. I can't remember, but look at this table. It's crazy. You know, number of children, and then also like there's things for married joint, but then phase-in and phase-outs. So sometimes just remembering how the heck some of these things work takes a little bit of time, but again, like because we've done it enough years, we're able to pretty much mechanically go through and update things pretty quickly. What's a little slower is when the calculation changes, or when something that was static for a long time changes. So for example, QCDs, qualified charitable distributions, have been 100,000 for as long as they've existed, and 2024 is the first year in which they will be inflation adjusted, so it's $105,000 in 2024 now, and it's going to be inflation adjusted after that. I think rounded to the nearest $1,000, I think. And so, you know, that's the thing we have to go back and look at. Okay, where do we just say it's $100,000, and where do we have to replace that with code that then says, okay, inflate it and all that kind of stuff, and make sure that not just that, but also your wording or like your descriptions of things. Like, you know, if you just say the QCD max is 100,000 in like a note or a help guide thing, you have to go back and make sure that you say it's actually $105,000 starting in 2024, index for inflation, blah, blah, blah. So that's part of the fun of what we do. But we have done it enough times that it's not too bad to do. So I would expect in the next couple days, you'll see all these updates already built into the system. And, you know, could be a lot worse. It could be they overhaul the entire tax code and we have to do that in a weekend. This won't be too bad. All right, I couldn't help myself. Let's look at the tax on aero shafts. For the calendar year 2024, the tax imposed by this thing, first sale manufacturer, 62 cents per aero shaft. I don't remember what it was for 2023, but that's new in 2024, 62 cents.